This trailer hitch cover cost me nothing. I built it completely from scrap material, and I'm going to show you exactly how to build it. Take a look at the parts that I have put together for this. Pretty simple stuff. The first thing I'm going to start with here is some aluminum plate material. This stuff is 3/16 of an inch thick, nothing crazy at all. I've also got this spare aluminum square tubing I've had kicking around, and I've got these pieces of flat bar. These pieces of flat bar are very important. I'll show you why in a sec here. The piece of plate that I'm using here has a good amount of material that I can do some welding on. This is going to help out with heat control, and this square tube material fits the trailer hitch receiver perfectly. Those are literally the only requirements we need for this one. The first thing I'm going to do here is decide on a design I'm going to do. I picked this design here. I thought it was kind of cool, and it would be a cool exercise to do some fun welding on. I printed it off. I made sure it fit the plate material with some material to spare, and all I'm doing after printing this out is just transferring the design onto the aluminum plate. These lines are really going to help out so I can see clearly as I'm welding. I don't want to lose my place. And then what I'm doing here is actually just a dry install to see where the hole location should be for proper alignment. I'm just marking it out. At this point, I'm then going to measure and cut the square tube to the length I want. Again, it can be kind of approximate, just get it close enough. At this point, the major thing that I make sure I do is wipe and clean everything thoroughly. I want to detail the square tube so there's no extra rag on the end. And then at this point with the welded piece, I just want to make sure everything is absolutely spotless. Giving it a quick wire brush, using acetone to remove any chance of contamination. And at this point, with all of our parts picked out and prepped properly, we are all set. Let's start welding. After getting everything all set up, as well as all the preparation I did, lighting up and starting to run welding passes on this thing feels so good. As I'm running the first couple passes here, the filler material is stacking up cleanly, and I'm able to stay on track in between my lines because I have these scribe lines that I can follow as a guide for every pass that I do. As I'm welding along on this one, doing a few passes, heat buildup as well as distortion is going to become a problem that I'm going to have to deal with. Taking a look at this here that I did before I started welding, you can see that I actually ran some little stitch passes and tacked the stiffeners on the back side of this to help prevent things from warping as I'm welding too bad. We'll probably have to do some correction with this after the fact, but these are going to help out a lot just to keep things from getting crazy. When you're doing your welding passes, I try not to just start on one side and work my way across. I try and bounce around on the piece. I might do some welding on one side, and then after I'm done with that spot, I'll switch to the other side, do some over there, and then I even take some breaks just to let the thing cool down a little bit. This is a classic way to really help prevent distortion from occurring, and if it does, it'll be a lot more minimal. You can also see that I have not cut out the shape on the base material yet. Like I said, we want to leave some material surrounding the design. This is going to help to absorb heat. When it's all finished and I straighten everything out, I'll cut it off then. A lot of the time with welding exercises like this that I teach my students in my programs, people really obsess and they start to stress over getting the perfect settings on their machine. Overall, as I'm welding here, you can just see things are running relatively clean. That's the bottom line. That shows that your preparation with the material as well as your torch being assembled correctly is all done really well. And again, these are the settings that I ended up using, but these are super ballpark. It'll change for everybody depending on what material thickness they are using, as well as everybody's machine is slightly different from one to another. In my textbook for TIG welding here, I go over a lot of these details on how to set your machine up in relation to material thickness that you might be using. Again, when welding on a fun project like this, you kind of just want to be in the right ballpark, but you can see when you get things close enough, the welding should just go in nice and clean, and providing you're using a correct amount of filler material, it should be pretty much perfect. As I'm adding the filler material, like I mentioned, if you add too much, this is going to start to block heat into the parent or base material, so just make sure you don't add too much. And you can see another thing that I'm doing here is that I arc on relatively slow. I don't slam the pedal down, and then as I'm finishing the passes, I'm backing off slow. Don't just drop it off and cut things out. You'll leave a crater. Now, wrapping up with the last passes here, look at this. This looks awesome. At this point, let's finish it off and put it all together. On the back side, I'm going to cut off the stiffeners. At this point here, you can start to straighten the piece using a couple blocks of wood as well as a soft blow hammer. And then at this point, you can cut the piece out on a bandsaw or something. And when that's all done, you want to detail the edges to keep them nice and smooth. No sharp edges, please. You can then take your square tube, locate center close enough, and then you want to weld the pipe on the back of the plate. Start out with little tacks just to hold everything square and center, and then as you start to run past passes down the sides of the square tube around the corner, we're basically performing a fillet joint at this point. Again, both the passes on the flat piece of plate as well as the fillet joint are all laid out in my textbook program here. You buy the book, you read it, and then you scan the QR code, and then you can go through all of the lessons. They're laid out in order in great detail on a private website. It's a great way to kind of get the experience of a textbook in a classroom as well as the classroom itself. And again, all on demand. Again, at this point, after you finish running the fillet joint passes, I recommend to straighten things out, check everything again. At this point, you can kind of do whatever you want. We could do a little bit of painting if we feel like it. You can use masking tape to cover off areas that you might want to leave raw aluminum. The raw aluminum areas can then be polished if you want, make them look even shinier. And then maybe if you want, you could do a clear coat just to keep things safe over time. Now take a look at this. This is so sweet. This is as custom as it gets. It looks dope. It's all tucked away and bolted on really nicely. And this thing's gonna look sweet when I go hit some trails with it. Now again, if you want to try out some TIG welding, pick up one of these textbooks. I designed all the artwork myself. I drew all the artwork myself. I wanted it to look like a fun graphic novel or something like that, not some boring old textbook. Again, it comes with an entire online curriculum attached to it. You can watch all the lessons as many times as you want. These are all printed here in Canada and shipped from my shop here by my wife and I. There's no drop shipping deal, no Amazon warehouse. We do everything here ourselves. Give something like this a try. These projects are a ton of fun. And do a random act of kindness for a stranger today. I mean it. My name is Dusty James. Bill and Chill. We'll talk soon. Peace.